friends, good morning. I am playing today. I actually just started playing and I created this little washy sky, which I just laid down some water, damp, not puddles or anything. And then I brought in some ultramarine blue for the background, and then I just tilt my paper. You could even go in and maybe use a little tissue and blot out some skies. But I wanted to play with, I created this the other night, and I kind of thought it was cool because it's like a landscape version. And I was trying to find, as you know me, I always like to simplify things. So I was trying to find a way to do a landscape and maybe use this fun little fan brush. You guys, this is so ancient. I don't even know where I got this from. But anyway, look, it's got crazy hair sticking out. I'm going to try and use it today, though. I'm sure I have others, but I grabbed that one. So I'm just going to play around. I hike a lot in the hills here, and I come across these type of scenes, and I'm always wanting to paint them, but not quite sure how to paint them. Let me grab something else for you. So here are some others. I live in a city called Chino Hills, and these are kind of some of the photos I've taken. And this one, I was just playing with some very abstract-y colors. We have lots of hills. And then I used some pen and ink. So that's one version. Here was another version. I did some splattering. I did the pen and ink again. And of course the hills. So this one I wanted to play a little bit with this fan brush. I'm going to be using my Winsor Newton because that's what's here. Let me spray them. I've been having to travel a little bit lately, helping my parents and such, so my paints are all packed. As you know, I usually use the Winsor Newtons. I can't afford to paint with these every day, but they happen to be sitting here, so I've also got, this is an Artisto pad I'm painting on. As you know, I love these. I labeled this one Summer 2024, and then I catalog them all. But if I do end up wanting to keep this or frame it, it's perforated, and it's got such a great texture. I just love these. And of course, my Meeden palette and my wash and rinse, my little Meeden ceramic dish. Love. Okay, so I'm going to kind of play here and just figured I'd maybe record it. If it turns out somewhat decent and there's maybe some inspiration in here for you, awesome. So I'm going to double load my brush. My go-to green is typically this sap green, maybe a little of the olivey green, and then the other side of my brush I'm going to load with that yellow. So I've got a double loaded brush here, and then I'm just gonna play with the brush. You know, like I said, I always like to kind of find easy ways to create what looks like maybe detail. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to drag. Yes, this is exactly what I was hoping for. It's even creating some dry brush in there. So I'm just going to barely wet my brush, dip one side into the sap green and maybe a little olive green, the other side into my cad yellow. You could even go into the yellow ochre and maybe some burnt sienna. Maybe we'll do some of that. And then, ooh, you guys, ooh, see, I'm so glad I videoed this because I just had a feeling it was going to give me the look I wanted. So I'm so glad. Look at that. It looks like a lot of detail to me, but it really isn't. So let's do it again. You know, Bob Ross too, I always watch him and try to transpose his techniques into watercolors. And he uses a fan brush a lot. I could even kind of go up here. So I'm just kind of playing here. And this is automatically creating a lot of dry brush, which I'm kind of liking. You know, I'm going to add in, oops, I just stuck my finger in the purple paint. Let's add in some brown. Ooh, look at that. You guys, this is awesome. I hope you like this too. This is curling up a little bit because I'm using so much water, so I'm trying to kind of hold it down. Let me grab a little bit more of that brown. Maybe add a tiny bit of water and a little bit of that green. So I'm using some different values here too. There we go. You guys, I'm so excited. This kind of is giving me what I wanted. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, I'm just playing here. Let me grab my salt. And I'm going to just salt a little bit in the front and see if I can maybe create a little bit of what might look like flowers. Because our hills here always have all these little speckles of flowers, and we do have mountains in the background. This is my brush set, by the way. This will be coming out from Craftimo. There'll be 5. Pretty excited about those. And I'm going to, actually, let's use this brush. This is the Filbert. And I'm going to maybe put a little bit of mountains in the background. So this is just a brown I have in my palette. Kind of activate that there. The hills are all kind of brown right now. Just going to wet that edge so it kind of blends. Like that. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. It's just very kind of abstract. Let's get a little bit of, because mountains in the background, I'm just adding in a tiny bit of grayish, Payne's gray, because a lot of times mountains in the background can look very gray in the foreground. So there we go. Yeah. Just going to soften some of that line. And then what I think I'll do is go in and add a little bit of darker values in that green. So let's pick up our dark green. And I don't want to ruin it now. Let's see if this brush splatters. Ooh, it does. That's kind of cool. I've never splattered with a fan brush, but you know, I always like kind of testing things out. I feel like I want some earthy browns in there. Just kind of dabbing here. Just playing with my brush. And this is something I'm always kind of encouraging you guys to do. Just play and see what comes up for you. So I'm quite happy with that. Once this dries, there might be some of that bloom, some of those little blooms from the salt I sprinkled on there. I could even hit it real quick with my heat gun. Close your ears or fast forward. There we go. Yeah, it's kind of creating these little florals. There we go. And I think what I'll do now is just, let me find, 1 second. This is just an old card I've got here. And I'm just going to do a little bit of scraping. You know what? I think I might have let it dry too much, so it's not going to really scrape too much. But just to add some texture right in front here. And then last thing I'm going to do, now if I was using a really dark color, when you sprinkled that salt, it would show up a lot more, kind of how it did here. But I'm kind of using a dark color. So what I'm going to do is we've got tiny little yellow flowers. So I'm just going to, let's see, hold on. I want a soft brush. So the Neptune's really soft. And I'm going to go in and do a mix of that yellow, because we have a lot of little yellow flowers here. And I just want them to be in the front. Yeah, like that. Might even put some white in there. That might be pretty too. I think I'm getting more on my hand than I am in my painting. Yeah, let's go for some white gouache. Here we go. I always keep a tiny bit in my palette here. And because this Neptune brush is so soft, it's going to really get a lot on here. Let me cover this so I'm not getting it all over my hand. Oop. Then a little bit over here. So fun. Splattering's always fun. It's always really enjoyable for me to try and come up with ways of looking like I added a lot of detail, but I really didn't. So once this dries, I think what I will do is add in a couple of these little posts, because on the trails here, they always have these posts. And I'm going to use a little credit card again. This is an old one, by the way. It's expired. So let me draw in. Let me get this to dry a bit first. Sometimes I worry when I do these spontaneous tutorials, because I'm like, boy, I sure hope this works. This is going to flatten out the paper too. Okay, there we go. Almost dry. Just fast forward if this is annoying to you. Okay, then I'm going to, let me wipe off the salt here. I am going to just put, I don't want to use that one. That one's too soft. Let me grab mine. Oops, right here. So this is the angle shader. It's a number 8. I have that in there too. Really fun brush. And I'm going to grab some of my, I don't have a Van Dyke brown in here. I wish I did. So I think I'll darken it up with a little bit of black. Just use whatever dark brown you have, doesn't really matter. And I want to get quite a bit of paint on my brush. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create, just dab in a little post here, and then before it dries, what I want to do is go in and just kind of scrape it like that, so I get more of an organic shape. And then I might go along that edge, just with the edge of this angle shader, and look at those perfect little posts. Maybe do another one here. And I'm trying to keep these, again, kind of organic. Let's go in and create some posts that have maybe fallen down. Like that. And I'll darken this one edge. I'm just using that Payne's Gray. So look how interesting, or I think it's really interesting. I'm going to do a few more over here. And you can use that credit card to kind of give you that more organic feel. I love painting the hills around here, so I have a lot of them in here that I've painted over the years. And I always enjoy them. Actually, the other day I took a picture and this post was completely leaning over. That was kind of interesting. Now what I might do, you could probably stop here, but what I'm going to do is add in some more of those white gouache, and then I'm also, I think, let's see what this does. I'm going to pick up, I really don't like using gouache in my good brushes, and I'm going to just see what that does. I wanted to create kind of this highlight. Yeah, I like that. So I always wash my brushes really good if I do happen to use them on my gouache. And then I'm going to do some little sprigs of grass, which I could use this, or I could go back to my fan brush. So let's play with that fan brush again. Pick up some of that deep green. I'm going to make it a little bit darker with some brown in there. There we go. And I have smaller fan brushes, actually. Let's see if I can find them in my arsenal of brushes here. I don't see one offhand, but because I feel like this is going to be too big. So I'm just barely touching in to give it some texture there. That's one of the things I always loved about Bob Ross. He always made everything look so simple, didn't he? He was like, just do this, do this, do this, and voila, you have this beautiful painting. Okay, now I'm going to go back in with some of that white. This just happens to be a brush. I actually really like these brushes. I got these lashed over a year ago, I think, from Zen Art, and I really like them. Number one, I like the wood handles, and they're all really great quality and kind of soft, which I actually enjoy with these. Okay, so let me pick up some more of that white paint. I want to get really, really white. If you don't have enough water mixed in with it, it's not going to show up. And then let me just cover some of this. And here we go. Yeah, I like that. That was perfect. Fun. We get a little bit more of that. I actually like that white too. I put on those wood. There we go. You guys, I never think I'm that good at landscapes, but I like this kind of abstract-y landscape here. I think it's really fun. This kind of abstract painting I like, or landscape painting I really like, because it's just really me. I'm not a little detail-y person, so this works for me. Now I got to get all that gouache out of my brush. Since this is a soft brush, it really soaks it up. And I definitely want to make sure I'm not getting it into the ferrule. And then just bringing my brush into a point. Okay, let's see what else I might want here. Don't want to do too much. Okay, here I go. Now you could just stop right here. Matter of fact, it'd probably be a good idea to stop right here. But me, in the fashion that I always do, I feel like I want to add a little bit of color into my sky in the background. So I'm going to play. Now let's just all pause a minute and take a look at this, because if I ruin it now, I can at least say, well, I played. Okay, and I want to just add some color into the background because the skies here, I like to get up and hike at like 5 in the morning. And the skies here are just these amazing colors. So I have to be careful. I'm going to do just a light glaze of orange. I know, kind of daring, right? If I did yellow, it might look green. So that's why I'm kind of going for the orange. We'll see. We'll see if this works. It's either going to be a big flop and create a muddy color, or it's going to be like, oh, that looks great. Here we go. But this is sometimes how I really discover things. Okay, now see what I'm noticing right now is actually I could make that into little mountains. And look how cool that looks in the background. Ooh, I think I kind of like that better than orange in the sky. This is what happens though when you play a little bit. That's a little bit too much orange. Got to be careful. Cad orange can be a little crazy. And a lot of times the mountains in the background will look kind of orangey because of the sun. So I'm actually kind of liking that. Look at that. Ooh, nice. And then I'm going to take a tiny bit of my Payne's Gray and let's add in, yeah, that's good. I don't want that hard line, so I'm just going to get rid of that. And then the last thing I want to do, so I'm pretty happy with this. This looks like some of my pictures I've taken. I could have put some little clouds in the background, but to be honest, in the morning when I hike, it's pretty smooth. There might be a little purple in the background and yellows and oranges. So let's see here. What do I want to do? Do I want to keep going? Okay, again, you could stop right here, but I push everything, so I'm just going to grab my Ohuhu marker. This is, I love these because they're really good with waters. And I'm going to draw in, there's always paths all around here in the fields and things, where everybody's really big hikers here. Okay, so this little tiny path. And there we go. And then maybe that little tiny path. And I'm kind of following what's here. And there we go. I think that's all I'm going to do. I love adding in little details that just you kind of go, ooh, what is that? And you look at it. So I'm really happy with this. I think I'm going to frame it up and I'm going to keep it. I wish I would have done a little bit more with this sky, but I can always go in there and add a little bit more, like if I wanted some clouds or something. But I hope this gave you a little bit of inspiration. This fan brush, this one's ancient. It's all falling apart, but I'll find one and I'll link it in my description down below. And I hope you give this a try. Landscapes are fun. I've been dying to do more because I just love all the pictures I take of my hikes here. So this one was a pen and ink as well. And then this one was just fun. I think I might even do another one like this because it's long. And I kind of like that. It's all similar color palette, all nice warm colors. And I have these little posts in here. All right, everybody, I hope that inspired you, and happy painting. Make sure and sign up for my brushes if you're interested in getting notified when they come out, and I'll put all of my supplies down below. Okay, happy painting.